Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So just a little bit of info to start us off. So the format of today's webinar is going to be a little bit different, and we wanted to make it a bit more of a discussion than just having our standard Q&A at the end. So we're going to check frequently for your questions and comments in the chat box, so put them in whenever you like. So to start, we'll jump into Laura's story and then we'll go into solo female travel. All right, over to you, Laura.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad everybody's here. This is an exciting opportunity for me to share what I know about travel, solo travel with regards to women. And as you can tell from my bio, I love to travel. I travel a bunch. So I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned with you guys. So the title of the webinar is How One Solo Trip Got Me the Book Deal, the Guy, the TEDx Talk appearance, and the career of my dreams. And that's really so. My life changed when I was 51 years old. And I'll tell you how that happened. We're going to go through the slides. Okay. So at 51 years old, I realized that I was hitting a new phase in my life. And that phase was my hands were coming off the raising of 4 out of my 5 children, since they were now grown and engaged in their own lives, whether they're in medical school or working or in college. And I had recently, about 2 years prior, launched a blog called Thread and Be, which it was the fruition of an idea I had to combine interviews from celebrities with interviews from mom influencers. And that was a really exciting adventure for me because I got a chance to speak to a ton of new people, including a ton of new celebrities, about what they were doing, their life work and their social causes, and same with the mom bloggers. So I was doing that and I was excited about that and having a lot of success. But I still needed more. And, you know, personally, I was single. My life had changed when I was 35 as well. I lost my husband to cancer. So I raised my first 4 kids by myself. So I was a very independent woman by the time I was 51. And I needed a new adventure. And so I decided I needed to take my first solo trip. My mom was from Europe. I had been to Europe several times, but never on my own. And I'd always wanted to go to Amsterdam to actually see the tulip gardens, because I love tulips. I said, I'm going to do it. That's what I did. So I got on a plane and booked the hotel. And there I was. And I found myself a number of hours later in Amsterdam. And I had the time of my life. I just devoured the art. I went to the tulip gardens and I really enjoyed myself. It was odd traveling by myself for the first time, but I also enjoyed it because I didn't have anyone to have to worry about. I could go by my own schedule. I could look at the things I wanted to look at. I could eat the cake I wanted to eat. I could try everything and anything. And I could rediscover myself. And I think that's a lot of what solo women who are traveling are looking for. It's at least a big chunk of it. There's a ton more. So what ended up happening is while I was there, go to the next slide. I ran into a few women who were eating at a pub that I had decided to eat at, and they were discussing a very bad date one had had. And so the question became whether or not this woman should see this gentleman again. And it was so apparent to me that she shouldn't. She was just dropping her standards to a degree no woman should ever even consider. But she didn't know that. So I ended up getting drawn into the conversation. And long story short, by the end of it, she was not going to see him again. And she had suggested that I write a dating book, which I had no intention of doing or real interest. But I was flattered. And then what ended up happening is the idea stuck with me and I couldn't shake it. So I would go on to write this dating book, land a publisher very quickly, and turn it around in 6 months. And that book was called What to Do When Jane Knows Dick About Dating. I just wanted to make it very catchy. And, and it was. While I was going through the editing phase of that book, though, a good friend of mine who I rely on for her judgment, I asked her to read it and just give me her opinion. And so she had planned on doing that, but she eventually couldn't find the time. So she passed it off to a gentleman friend of hers. And he was single and he was dating and really not doing a very good job of it. So she figured maybe it could help him. And after he read the book, he asked if he could be put in touch with me. And of course, she called me and she said, would you mind? And I said, sure, no, it's fine. I'd love to hear his opinion on it anyway, from a male point of view. And we started talking. And the long and short of it is we've been together now for over a year. So I guess it worked out for him and me. He's a great guy. After that, after the book released, I had other opportunities that walked through my door. I gave a TEDx, TEDx Wellington Live in Delaware, a TEDx talk in the same vein as my book called What She Got That I Don't. And that was the experience of a lifetime. Preparing for it was incredible. Giving the speech was amazing. The results of the speech after that were ridiculous. I ended up not only signing a book deal for a new children's book series that I had created, I also signed a deal with the Hoover Entertainment to bring that book series to television. So Hoover's busy getting that underway. Let me see what else. I have an interesting new type of parenting book coming out. I've been asked to be on several morning talk shows for all different types of reasons. I've been asked to brand my own wine tours out of Napa by a wine tour company, or actually a tour company. Which I am considering doing. It's a very interesting opportunity for me. And I know that women love wine, and I love wine and like to speak. So I'll be doing both on the tour. So we'll see how that all turns out. What else can I tell you? There's just a lot that's been going on. And then of course this opportunity with regards to helping you guys learn about women like me who are traveling solo. So that's the beginning. That's where I came from. I initially wasn't planning on sharing all that with you when I created the original presentation. I actually left most of that out, but Travel Massive came to me and asked me if I'd add a little bit more in as far as that goes. So you got it all there. Okay. So now that we're at the end of my life, as far as just let me see where we're at. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so let me ask, are there any questions up to this point that you'd like to ask? Because I know we're going to be answering at the end, but if there's any preliminary questions, shoot, and I'll answer them.
Okay, it doesn't look like they're at this point, but guys, just so you know, to ask a question, just pop a question or comment into the chat box below, or you can raise your hand to use your microphone. So to do that, just click on the participants button below and then click to raise your hand over on the right. I'll then unmute you and you can ask Laura your questions. If you're like Laura and like wine and like chatting, you can do it without the mute. It doesn't look like we do at the moment, so we'll just keep on going. Thank you for sharing though, Laura. As Laura said, we wanted her to keep talking about it because it is an amazing story. As Charisma has just said, it's an amazing story and very inspiring. So thanks, Charisma.
Oh, thank you. Well, this is the exciting part now because I like to talk about women and I like to talk about travel and I like to talk about what they're doing in travel because I think it's fascinating and I love that women are traveling for so many reasons. So this is going to be even hopefully better than the last part. Who are these women that are traveling? They're like me, they're like you. They're all different ages. They're all different economic statuses. And they're doing it for reasons that they probably never would have done it before if they would have even taken the step to do it. These women, like I said, they're all different ages. There's a huge portion of that percentage, however, of women that are traveling solo, that are over the age of 50. And it makes sense because the reality is the average age of a woman becoming single throughout her lifetime is in her 50s, whether or not she's divorced or widowed. Widowhood happens, the predominant age is 55. Women are 55 and they become widows. So they look at their lives now, which are now much longer, and they're saying, well, now what? Now what? I had planned to travel with him, or I'm finding myself alone. What do I want to do? And sometimes travel can be extremely therapeutic in those circumstances. It also can open doors to what's next for that woman. So, and also it's not only healing, but it's also fun. It's realizing that there's still fun in life and she can go on. And I think that's critically important. So some women use it to heal and to find the next stages in their life. Similar to what I did, but obviously I had lost my husband years before. Some are just looking for a break and to have fun. They want to continue to develop themselves. You know, a lot of them are married, they have families, they're living up to their responsibilities and some, but they have to do something for themselves or they get lost in their roles. So I think that's very important. It's a growth. It's part of their growth, you know, their desire to grow. And I think women always have to continue to grow because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So travel is a great way to grow. It's also a great way to realize how vast the world is. And it's a great way to help to understand what other women are dealing with across the world and what they look like and what they're everything about them, because it only helps us become better. I think one of the best things about women traveling too is realizing that women come in all shapes and sizes, all cultures, and they're beautiful in all shapes and sizes and cultures. And I think that's something that we in the United States especially need to continue to realize, because it's hard as a woman in the United States to not be in that cookie cutter mold and to feel okay about yourself. So I think travel offers that. These women that are traveling, they can be single, they can be married. A lot of solo travelers are actually married, but they're taking a break and they're leaving their husbands at home and they're leaving their kids at home and they're going on the spa weekends. They're going for an adventure. They're going for culture. They are feeding their needs so that they can be better mothers. And I think that's amazing. A lot of them have money, okay? So a lot of these women, if they're not making plans for their families to go away, realistically, 86% of the travel that's done today is arranged by women, 86%. So that's a high percentage. These women are making plans to add another up to $19 billion into our economy in travel-related costs and money, and so that's a ton of money. A lot of solo travelers are they have money. They're wealthy in the sense that their salaries are $250,000 and above. A lot of them are, so they're willing to pay for what they want in that travel, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think ultimately, there's a huge opportunity for other women to learn from these women who've already set the course. To do it, not to be fearful of it, because once you take the first step, it's hard to go backwards. The freedom, the fun involved is enormous. And it builds your confidence and your character so that you will want to do it again. And then when you come back, you'll want to try other things, new things in your own territory. It just expands your life in so many different ways. So obviously I recommend it, and there are a lot of reasons why. Any questions?
Okay. Are there any questions? It looks like there aren't yet at this point.
Okay, that's
but
fine.
We'll keep going. But yeah, it's a quiet group today. Come on, guys.
All right. So, as far as the types of trips these women are looking for, I've identified pretty much 3 different types. They're cultural trips, they're adventure trips, and they're rest and rejuvenation trips. Europe is, in fact, the #1 travel destination for female travelers, solo travelers. That doesn't mean they're not going to other places looking for adventure or a little bit of R&R, but Europe seems to hold what most women want, which is very different than men. Men tend to go towards Asia, Africa for their adventure. Women are a little bit different. However, the adventure travels, it's interesting statistic, which I really found fascinating, so I'm going to share it with you. Women who are adventure travelers are not what you might consider that type of, that woman. So these women are normally, as far as their outerwear, they're a size 12, and they've given up counting calories for counting their adventures. And I think that's really great, because they finally realized in their lives that there's more to life than just worrying about their external appearance. They're feeding their internal. And I think that's a wonderful thing, because you know what? That's where your happiness lies. And I think that's a lesson that everyone should learn from. So I applaud those women immensely. So they need, and then of course, rest and rejuvenation. They work crazy. Solo travelers and women in general work crazy. It's crazy work. They do more than they do just so much more. They're working all the time. It never ends if you have a family, or if you raised a family, if you're working full time. So I think that taking that time to take care of themselves is really mandatory to being the best that you can be for yourself and your family, or just the community around you. Okay. So here's where they'll spend their money, and they will spend money. They will spend big money. They will spend money and luxury and pampering. So they will go to the hotel that will give that to them. They will not necessarily look for the cheapo hotel or the economical hotel, because if they're going to go, they're probably going once a year, if that much. So they're going to spend on that go. And so they're going to look for a place that will meet their needs and make them feel like a queen for their time that they're there. They will spend on hand-holding. And what I mean by that is the easier you make it, and a hotel makes it for that, or an airline, or whatever they're taking, a cruise ship, or the easier they make it for this woman to travel. And especially when it's her first time out and she's not confident, she will pay handsomely for that. I remember when I was traveling to Munich for the first time, and I was with I was standing next to a woman, and she didn't know where to go for her tour. She had to meet a tour bus, and she did not know where to go for her tour, and she was frightened. She didn't speak German, and so she didn't know what to do, and I could see that she was very, very nervous. And what this hotel did, and I'm gonna say, because I was so impressed with this, the Rocco Forte Hotel in Munich. They arranged for someone from the hotel to walk this woman to her tour bus, literally walk her to it, left the hotel, walk her to it. It was pouring that day, so I carried an umbrella over her. And I thought to myself, that's why you pay the large money. Because that woman will never forget that. She will go back again and she'll recommend other people. Because they have now given her a sense of security that she didn't have otherwise. And they've built her confidence in herself. So that was just so smart. They'll pay for sightseeing. They want to see, they want to go, they want to see, they want to become involved. They want that experience. That's why they're there. So they'll pay for a good sightseeing trip. Absolutely. They'll pay for gifts and, gifts and souvenirs, and they'll pay for fashion. Fashion is a big thing. So they'll pay for that as well. They'll pay for food and wine. They'll pay for cooking courses. They'll pay for really top-notch food. They'll pay for, because they want for a number of reasons. And food's a biggie for women. I don't care what you say. We like to eat, and we like to eat good food. We like to learn from others who are cooking for us what we might want to do at home. We like the pampering. Of course, a good glass of wine can't be beat. Women tend to like wine. That's just the reality of it. That doesn't mean we're winos. It just means we enjoy it. So that experience, and I know I'm a huge cook. And so when I go away, I look for places where I know I'm going to get great food. And I'm going to learn something along the way. I always bring something home from a trip, whether it be a spice or whether it be whatever, something that I can bring home and use in my own kitchen. So that's part of the fun of traveling. Okay. All right. So how do you feed the needs to your benefit? I think the travel is not only exhilarating, it can be fear-inducing. So I think you need to understand that about the woman. I think the first thing you need to do is get to know the woman that you're serving. Because when you get to know her, and I don't just mean in general, go by the statistics and whatnot, and that we can rattle these all whole day. But I think if you're a travel agent, or you're one of these places that arrange for rented homes, for Airbnb, get to know that woman so that you know what she's looking for. Make it as easy as possible. This is a biggie for her to get on that plane, that train, or their boat. Make it as easy as possible. If you have to, basically, sometimes women really need a lot of hand-holding in the beginning. So, and you know what? They always like it anyway. It makes them feel special, and that's what they're looking for in their trips, specialness. So make them feel special, because I promise you it'll pay off. Do the extra, go the extra mile. It will pay off, because too many people don't, and they'll notice the difference. Cover all the bases. Falls in the same category. Tell her what the currency conversions are. Tell her how to get the currency that she needs, right? Tell her the time differences. Help her with her transportation needs, even if it is to and from the airport. Help her do that. Arrange the tours. And this is a really big deal. Help her to stay safe when she's traveling. Alarm her as to what she has to look for. Give her the down and dirty before she books the trip and what she can expect, because she'll appreciate that. And you'll earn her trust if you do that with her. So, because she just wants honesty and she wants a nice time. And if she's going to a place where she has to be really careful and she can't go out the door of the resort, you need to tell her that. She shouldn't have to figure that out on her own. So I go back to a ton of hand-holding. Keep her safe. And then, if you do all that, she's going to come back to you. Without a doubt, she's going to send her friends. Without a doubt. And she's going to write the reviews that you want. So I would recommend that you do that. What will she gain? She's going to gain a sense of awareness, not only about the world, but about herself. And it's going to give her perspective, so that the woman who might just be newly divorced, trying to figure out what her next steps are in life, if she's who she is now. She's going to find that in traveling. She's going to realize that the world is bigger than the fishbowl she's been living in, and that's going to help her move to her next stage in life. It will wake her up. The larger view of the world, I go back to, I think that we're not in the United States. We're basically an island, and I think that we have that island mentality. And so getting her out in the larger world will only benefit her, and it will only benefit everyone in this world, with regards to, peace and getting along, because when you understand, you become less fearful. So joy, just sheer joy, the joy of traveling, the joy of living, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, or oh my God, how beautiful life is that I got the opportunity to see this. Who would have thought? That type of joy. Or, oh my gosh, this massage feels so good. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is what life could be. Or I did this for myself. I worked hard. I did this for myself. All of those reactions are all things that are going to get her to continue to travel. And on top of it, she's going to feel rather proud of herself, and she's going to have a great story to tell. And that's a memory, and you can't have too many good memories. So, and she'll tell other people, she'll tell her friends, and they'll start doing traveling too. What you're going to gain, you're going to be able to pat yourself on the back for opening up the life of a woman. And I think we all have a social responsibility, a humanitarian responsibility to help each other. So I think that alone is a good start. I think she'll definitely not only become a repeat client, but she's going to send people your way. And she's going to send great publicity your way. And, you can never get enough of that. And you're going to get, and ultimately your revenue is going to go up. That's just reality, and that's a good thing, because if you're doing something good, you should earn a ton. So my next trip, I just came back from Grenada. I had a wonderful time. I went there for the food. My friend is an executive chef at the Cayuga Beach Resort, and so I was there, and I was guaranteed good food, so I went over there, and it's a beautiful island, so I recommend you going. I'm going to the Ritz-Carlton at Dove Mountain in Tucson, Arizona. Why did I choose the Ritz-Carlton? Obviously, it's an expensive hotel just by the name alone. I chose it because, one, the Ritz-Carlton will deliver, and I know that. And so if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to take that time out of my schedule, that's the type of hotel I'm going to go to. And I'm not unlike so many solo travelers that are women. I know the food will be great, so I can bank on that, and that's something that I require. I know that if I go to that spa that they have, I'm going to be pampered. I know that the hotel's going to pamper me. I know when I walk through the door, they're going to open up the door. I know if I need something called down, they'll bring it up within 5 minutes time. I know all this, and that's what I need for me, and that's what a lot of women are looking for, because frankly, we're always doing for other people. And we need sometimes to feel like we're getting that back. I'm also huge into exercise and living a very healthy lifestyle. So this hotel has an amazing gym, so that's important to me. I'm bringing my 9-year-old. So what's important to him is a water slide, so they have that. I know the value for the dollar is worth it. And I know that if I'm gonna, like I said, if I'm gonna spend the time out and away from my normal surroundings, I'm gonna spend it in a place where I'm glad to be at, and I'm not gonna have to guess whether or not it's gonna live up to my expectations. There you go, reputation, right? That's really important. So this slide, basically, I wanted to share with you through these links, because I think they're really good links to help you understand the differences between men and women who travel, the differences in the solo travelers, best places to go for women. I think that's important that you know that. And a variety of other things like that. Maybe you want to know that could help to educate you to do an even more effective job of serving your clientele or traveling. And the last slide is basically a down and dirty about my life, which I'll leave you to look at. So there we have it. So now we're going to definitely open it up to questions. And if you're quiet now, I've got nothing.
Thanks, Laura. So not too quiet anymore. We've got quite a few questions in now. So James is asking, how did you land your first publisher? Can you give some tips to aspiring travel writers?
Absolutely. So in my case, it's an interesting scenario. In my case, because I had launched ThreadMB, my following is not only mom influencers, mom bloggers, or social media mom influencers, but obviously celebrities, but also celebrity people in the sense of power people in media, entertainment, publishing, and everything, PR. So when and I'm always asked to write about other authors. And so I had a friend who was an author come to me and ask if I might consider reading her book and whatnot. And I noticed the publisher of that book, and I did. And I happened to like the book, but for some reason I took notice of the publisher. So when this idea for my book came about, I remembered that publisher, and I literally just called them up. I actually emailed them. I said, could we chat for a couple of minutes? And that's not tooting my own horn, because I truly am I am a humble person. It's just, I just have to explain how the story happened. It was all the work I had done prior, all the groundwork on the risk I took in launching the site, that allowed me to then have the credibility to email a publisher and have them, say yes, and then take a look at the idea. And I literally was signed on a dime from that conversation to the next Monday morning. So from Friday to Monday, we signed a contract. So that is how it is. I think if I was going to give you a recommendation, don't be frightened to approach people and ask for the opportunity, because I think that people don't do that enough. And I think if you do that, you'll be surprised how many doors will open, or they'll lead you to someone else who will open their door. So that would be my biggest recommendation.
Great, thank you, Laura. So Lucy has asked, what % of these solo female travelers do you think have over 250K a year in earnings? It's quite high, or perhaps where this statistic came from, and are these statistics just from the US?
No, it's not just from the US. And I can tell you where the statistic came from. I can't pull it up right now. Oh, wait, hang on, maybe I can. It's from a marketing group, Girl Power Marketing. And so it is, look, let me put it this way to you. It is high, but a lot of solo travelers, the ones that are falling into that category have put their time in, so they're making some good money. That doesn't mean that other women aren't paying for those same hotels, unless it just means a lot of solo travelers have that income.
Right, okay, thanks, Laura. So Charisma has asked, do they tend to like to book trips that have been put together for them, or do they prefer to put it together themselves?
That's an interesting question. I don't know the exact answer to that, but I can tell you one thing based on what I know about these women. The more help you can give them, the better. So if you can show a woman that you can make it very easy for her to travel, she's going to lean on you, because she doesn't have a lot of time to arrange for herself. I know for me, when I'm booking trips, I don't have a lot of time to, so I really have to set time out of my schedule to do that. Ultimately, I like to know, what's going to happen. But if I have a trusted person that can do that for me, it's so much easier. I have had that in the past, which I very much enjoy.
Okay, great. So Ian is asking what online communities are solo women travelers connected with? Example, Facebook groups or other kinds of groups that they're a part of.
That's a great question. Facebook is one of them, absolutely. Believe it or not, a lot of solo women, when they're traveling, they do Instagram because they're taking lots of pictures, so Instagram as well. I could say that those are two of the larger ones. So I would say that.
Okay, so I guess kind of on top of that question, we've had quite a few people ask what the best way to reach these people is for their business.
That's a good question. One of the ways I would do is there are a number of online sites specific to solo travelers, women, and I would broach that editorial team and those editorial teams and see if you can't get an article in and on those sites, even if you have to write it yourself. So that's one way I would do it. Any of the Facebook groups that are travel oriented, I would join those because that will also put you in the face of these women. Those are two off the top of my head. Those are two suggestions.
Okay, and Ian is just clarifying not just platforms, but if you have any recommendations of specific Facebook groups or other groups on platforms, for example, Girls Love Travel on Facebook or any others that you might know?
I put the ones that I thought there were one or two. There's actually one in the upper slide, which I love. Solo Traveler. I think that's a great site. Go there and then see if the woman who runs that site can help you, because that's a great site.
Okay, so on top of a question before about how you said, don't be afraid to ask for the opportunity. Sierra is asking if you have any, if you can address combating crippling imposter syndrome in such a situation.
Wait, I'll say it again. I think I know the gist of this.
Okay, so Sierra has asked, I know you said don't be afraid to ask for the opportunity, but can you address combating crippling imposter syndrome in such a situation?
It's really hard, right? Because I think we are, everybody's asking in a sense. So people have, it's tough to get shot down, right? It really is. But you're not gonna, no guts, no glory, really. So I think that you just have to, I hate to even say these two words, but toughen up a little bit, because you have to look at it as they're not being mean. They're just trying to separate, in a sense, the men from the boys, the women from the girls. So they have to be severe gatekeepers in it. So, but you have to be able to prove to them that you're worth letting them come into their organization. So you just keep at it. If you're upset, if someone doesn't want you doing one thing, there's a ton of other people that will. So just keep trying, keep knocking on those doors, and don't take it personally. It's not a personal thing. That's the unfortunate thing. We women, a lot of times, we're programmed to take everything so gosh darn personally. It's not personal. So just, if you want to grow your business, if you want to be heard, if you want to help other people get to where they want to go, You're going to have to prove why people should give you business. You're going to have to prove why you're different. You're going to have to prove you can't take a no as being a no. A no is just, they say a no is just a temporary pause until a yes. So, you knock on enough doors, the law of averages is one eventually will open. Don't take it personally.
Great, thank you. Great advice there, Laura. So another question is, how can companies focus on women's safety even though anything can happen and you cannot guarantee it?
They can't guarantee it, but they can up the odds by educating her. So if you know that something could occur in a specific area, you need to tell her. You have to be her personal welfare first. So I think that's more, there's no guarantee. Look, you can't do that, but I understand that. But you have to make her aware, and you have to try to help her navigate that terrain that she's now going into and unknown to her. So a good part of that is hand-holding. A good part of that is just being honest. I think that's a big, those are two good examples of how you can help to guarantee. But it's understood that you're not, there's no foolproof.
Yeah, absolutely. So that looks to be the end of our questions there. So thank you so much for joining us, Laura, and sharing your story today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I enjoyed it, and I hope that I helped. I hope I did.
With the questions and the comments receiving, it looks like it. So don't worry about that. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and don't forget to sign up for our next webinars too. We've got a heap scheduled at the moment, so I'm sure you'll find something to speak. Thanks everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.